I met this expat, this foreigner in the Philippines the last time I was there. And, he was saying how he was, thinking of leaving the Philippines because it just wasn't what he thought it was going to be. And I think a big portion of that is because he watched videos on, certain YouTubers that don't show the realistic side of the Philippines, that there is some, there's noticeable poverty there. And once you go out of the tourist bubbles, you're going to run into that poverty. I mean, that's just facts. Like, that's what you're going to run into. um for me, I've been places like that, so it doesn't really bother me, and it's unfortunate, but I don't let it affect, like, the way I am, or dictate certain decisions about me, because I've spent over 6 months in the Philippines, like through staycations, vacations, those kinds of things, going and visiting people, etc. And I've never I love the Philippines. I think it's a great place to live. I think it's a fantastic place to live, and that's why I'm moving there. I leave in 3 days. And let me get back to this story. He said that he was gonna move to Vietnam or Thailand or one of those places, is where he said he was gonna move to. He had been looking into, and there's nothing wrong with those places. I've been to Thailand. I've never been to Vietnam before, but I think going into this, if you're thinking about making the move, especially like a permanent move, or like a move that you want to see if it could be permanent, you need to I think you need to do your due diligence and your research. Like I did. I joined, I joined, like, ironically, like YouTube University. Like, I just went and studied and, looked at other people's channels, watched other people's channels to gain, information. And you just got to use your best judgment on that. Not all YouTube content is created equally. Some of it is, they're throwing a spin on it that isn't, truthful. Like, people saying that you can live in the Philippines for under $1,000. I mean, you can, I'd say, but your quality of life is not going to be great. Like, your quality of life is going to be, definitely your living situation is going to be worse than in the Philippines, or worse than the United States, or worse than the country of origin that you're coming from. And that's just the everywhere in the world has gotten a little bit more expensive. So that's just what it is. You used to be able to live in the Philippines for under $1,000. It's not really a thing anymore. So part of me is, I would part of it, I say, do your own research. Uh, take people's content with, like, a grain of salt, unless they're showing you, like, real world, like, things like, hey, it's this much here, in this city, and etc. And that's what I did. And I've contacted groups on Facebook, and things like that. So I mean, there is like a realistic side to it, and that's kind of what I plan on showing, and just being truthful, and like upfront with any audience that I may gather on YouTube. I mean, this is my first YouTube video. um so yeah, I mean, I leave in 3 days. I hop on the plane on the 24th of September, and I'll land in Cebu the 26th at 1 a.m. in the morning in Cebu. A big thing I don't see people talking about, which it's harder to find these things if you don't do it at the airport. Like, if you land at a time that you can do it at the airport, I'd say definitely do it at the airport when you land. And one of those things is getting a SIM card. Super easy to get a SIM card in at the airport. I believe they have Smart and Globe at the airport. I know they have Globe at the airport. No, actually, they do have both of it. If you land in Cebu, the Mactan airport, they have Smart and Globe vendors there for SIM cards, so that you can get some like load on your phone. The other thing I would make sure you do is I would bring some cash with me. Not I wouldn't bring like a massive amount of cash, but I definitely would bring like I don't know like $500 in cash, and then you have your currency, like your home country's currency, so you don't have to take it out of the ATM. Because there are like some fees associated with the ATMs. I think there's an ATM fee, and there's a international like Visa fee, which I think the Visa fee is like 1%, and I think the ATM fees are like $2 or $3. So I mean, you're looking at not a huge fee, but that is something to take into consideration when you're leaving your home country. So they have the currency exchanges. They have like the exchange places at the airports. Um, so I would do definitely those two things when I land. I would download Food Panda, which is like Uber Eats, and I would download Grab, which is like Uber or Lyft. That's like their version of like Uber or Lyft. So I download those two things on the I mean, if you have an iPhone, I download it on the Apple Store, and if you have an Android, I download it on the Samsung Play Store, or the Android Play Store. Those are like some things that I would definitely do before I like land in the airport. For me, why I'm deciding to make the move, it's I mean, I know it's like, opinions vary and stuff, but as far as for me, it's because, the dating culture in the West, at least in America, I can't really speak on, the rest of the Western countries, but in America, it's definitely declined. And it's all my time in the Philippines has always been great, and it's the dating culture in the Philippines is 100% different, and you're 100% gonna have a way easier time finding an attractive woman that you can like garner interest from. And dating is a big reason. The other reason is quality of life. How much how much you can get for the amount of money you pay, and the quality of life that you can have is just it's a lot better. I mean, rent's a lot cheaper, food's a lot cheaper, activities are a lot cheaper. Traveling around in the Philippines and Southeast Asia in general is significantly less expensive than the United States. And I'm not from a very expensive area of the United States. Like, I'm from Florida, which I don't think is a very expensive area or expensive state. It's not like California or New York or Chicago. So those are probably the two biggest drivers. But I'm also like I love to travel, so that's also a you have to take that into account if you like traveling, which I enjoy it. So that's another reason why I've decided to make the move. Switching gears back to the dating thing. As soon as you land in the Philippines, your market value as a man is going to, at minimum, tenfold. You are gonna get attention that you've never gotten before, unless you're like unless you look like Henry Cavill or something. You look like Superman, then maybe you have gotten that attention your whole life. I do not look like Superman, so when I landed there, it was a culture shock on the amount of attention that I received from women that quite honestly I considered them like out of my league, and so that's another thing that I just wanted to, bring up, touch on. And I'll probably make videos also that are like very very like more specific topics, like a topic on dating, visa extension, those kinds of things, are probably some videos that I'll end up making in the future. I just wanted to make a video and get one published before I left the States, especially because I'm gonna be vlogging and stuff in the I'm gonna be vlogging in the Philippines, and I know, just because this is how they are, there people are gonna ask me if I'm a vlogger, and I want to have a channel to, like, I want to be able to have a channel to give them, so that they can go and watch the content that I put out. So that's a big reason too, and it's been hard to find time in between getting ready to leave and visiting friends and family before I leave. So yeah, I'm just trying to finally found some time while I'm driving. Hopefully the DJI mic is doing its job and kind of canceling some of this road noise and AC noise and such. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, these are maybe some things that you want to take into consideration if you're thinking about moving. Like some of the topics that I brought up, I think it'd be like the best choice, probably one of the best choices you've ever made, is to move over to the Philippines, especially if you're a single male and like in between like his 30s and 50s. I mean, you're gonna have the time of your life. You're going to really just be shocked, be speechless with the joy that it's going to bring into your life. And you really got, when you land, you're going to be super excited, especially after that long flight. If you're coming from America, it's a long flight. It's like a 25 to 30 hour flight, and one of the segments of that flight is like 14 hours long. Like, I'm coming from Florida, and I have to fly from Florida to Washington State, and then Washington State to South Korea. And that flight from Washington to South Korea is like, I want to say it's like 13 or 14 hours. The flight in total, I think, is I want to say my flight in total with layovers and everything is like 30 hours. But yeah, I mean, these are just some of the things you're gonna want to kind of keep in mind, and these are some of the reasons why I made my decision. Everyone's different. Everyone has different viewpoints. Everyone leaves, or everyone's thinking of leaving the country for a different reason. And that's just these are just some of my reasons, I guess. It is. I'm sorry if this is like an unorthodox like video as far as like how I'm talking everything. It's gonna take some getting used to talking to a camera. It's a little bit foreign to me. It's not weird. It's just foreign. I'm not I'm not used to it.